All right, day 30. We're going to start the live review here for chapter 5. Feel free to follow along. You might hear some people asking questions. Feel free to fast forward, go back, pause, take your time. Email me any questions. Tune in to later office hours. Homework quiz, take that by the end of the day. And then make sure you get all your questions answered before you guys take the test tomorrow. All right, so let us begin. We are in the back of the packet, so the PDF that you have on Schoology that starts on page 18. We're going to go through most of the problems, but if I feel something is too redundant, then we will not cover that unless we get a special request for it. So this first question is asking about Euler's formula, and that's going to be F plus V equals E plus 2. So we have to establish what was given and what is missing in this problem. It says find the number of edges. So E is missing. We're given F and we're given V. So this is going to be 14 plus 9 equals the unknown E plus 2. Once you have that set up, you're just going to solve it like a regular Algebra 1 equation. 14 plus 9 is 23. Subtract 2 from both sides. That means there are 21 edges. Number 2, using the same formula, but now we're given edges. We're still given faces, but this time we're looking for vertices. So this is going to be 5 plus some unknown amount of vertices equals E plus 2. And it's always going to be plus 2. Oh, we actually have E. I don't know why I put E there. We need to put the number 7. There we go. So this is 5 plus V equals 9. Subtract the 5. So V is 4. So 4 vertices. If a rectangular prism has a length of 10, a width of 4, and a height of 8, I'm going to write those numbers in there. It seems like they didn't show up. A height of 8, a width of 4, and a length of 10. It really doesn't matter where you put those 3 numbers. This is the only one that truly matters. So the formula we're going to use, this is 3-dimensional Pythagorean theorem. So d squared equals L squared plus W squared plus H squared. So d squared equals 10 squared plus 4 squared plus 8 squared. Make sure you actually square those before you add them. So that's 100 plus 16 plus 64. So that's going to be 180. To get d by itself, we're going to take the square root. And I'm going to have you guys enter your answers rounded to the nearest whole number. So this comes out to 13.4. So about 13, you're going to round that down for me. 4. If a rectangular prism has a length of 6, a width of 7, and a diagonal of 15. So now we're given the diagonal. So 15 squared equals 6 squared plus 7 squared plus h squared. Notice h is missing. So 225 equals 36 plus 49 plus h squared. 225 equal 85 plus h squared. I'm going to subtract 85 from both sides. That's 140. Square root both sides. So h is about the square root of 140 is about 11.83. So if I round that, I'm going to round that up to 12. Any questions on the first page for those that are joining us? Nope. All right. All right, on the homework quiz, this is actually a multiple choice question. It's important that when we set up these ordered triples, that the first location is talking about the same type of direction. Because remember, we're going to compare these. I can't compare a north-south direction to a east and west direction. It has to be a north or south, a north or south. East and west, east or west. Up or down, up or down. So I'm going to go through and highlight real quick. 2 doves are released from a cage and fly in different directions. So this will be dove 1, dove 2. One dove flies 8 miles north. So I'm going to go find out, where does the other dove fly, north or south? And it's 10 miles south. So 8 north, 10 south. And I made south negative to show that they're going in opposite directions. Then the one dove flies 6 west, the other one goes 4 east. So west is a negative direction, east is a positive direction. And then up 1 mile and up 2 miles. So they're both going to get a positive number there. And that's how we create the ordered triple. To find how far apart they are, we're going to use the 3-dimensional distance formula, which is going to be 8 minus negative 10 squared I don't like where I squared that. Plus negative 6 minus 4 squared. And then 1 minus 2 squared. So this is going to be 18 squared, negative 10 squared. Notice how I'm keeping them in their parentheses still. That's going to help me in my calculator. And then negative 1 squared. So 18 squared, I don't know that off the top of my head, 324. Plus 100. Notice how that's positive 100 and not negative 100 because I kept the parentheses around the negative 10. That's a big mistake that I see. And then negative 1 squared is just 1. And this is going to come out to be 425. Which is about 20.6. So about 21. If the doves were to fly and if the doves were to stop and start flying towards each other at the same speed, at what point would they meet? So if here's the two doves, and if they were to start flying towards each other at the same speed, they would meet right in the middle of their total distance. So this is their total distance, which is 21. This is their midpoint. So what is that location? So midpoint equals, we're going to add 8 and negative 10. Divided by 2. We're going to add, and I'm looking up here, so we just added 8 and negative 10. Now we're going to add negative 6 and 4. And then we're going to add 1 and 2. So an 8 plus negative 10 is negative 2. Divided by 2 is negative 1. Negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2. Divided by 2 is negative 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. Divided by 2 is 1.5. So that's the location of the midpoint. So this coordinate would place them both right there. All right, on to problems from 5.2. Finding volume. I'm actually going to go through all of these first and find the base of each of them. So here, my base, I'm going to do, we have a rectangle on the bottom, rectangle on the top. That is a prism. That means it's going to be volume equals base times height. Number 2, I just have a circular base on the bottom. That means it is not a prism, it's a cone. So I'm going to do volume equals base times height divided by 3, because there's only one base. It gets smaller as we go higher, so we have to divide it by 3. Here I have a circular base, and I have a circular base. So this is going to be volume equals base times height. Here I only have one base. So volume is going to equal base times height divided by 3. So that's my thought process for the first step of each of those problems. What is the base? How many of them are there? And now I'm going to focus on the shape of that base, because that's what's going to tell me what capital B is going to be. Since it's a rectangle, base is going to be length times width. Since it's a circle, base is going to equal pi r squared. Since it's a circle, base is going to be pi r squared. Since it's a rectangle, base is going to equal length times width. So that's the second step in my thought process. What is the shape of that shaded base? Then the next thing I'm looking at is what is the distance or the height of the object? So a prism, we're looking for the distance between. So height is 7. Since we don't have two bases here, we're just looking for the perpendicular height. So height is 18. Here, the height is 12. And then here, the height is 5. So if I go back through here now, let's solve these. So volume equals base times height. So my base is 5 times 6, length times width. So that's 210 cubic centimeters. That's 30 times 7. My height is 18. My base is pi r squared. My r value is half of this diameter, so r is 18. I'm sorry, r is 9. So pi 9 squared. So I will do 9 squared, which is 81, times pi. You can use 3.14 or the pi button, times 18 divided by 3. That gives 1527. If you use 3.14, then your rounding would take you to 1526. That's okay. Both answers will be marked right. My height is 12. My B value, it looks like R here is 23. So this is going to be pi r squared. So 23 squared times pi times 12. That gives us I was just double checking to see if that 23 was actually meant to be as the radius. I'm going to use 23 as the radius. I don't know if that's a formatting mistake. So we're going to go with 23 as the radius. So we are going to get a large number. So 23 squared times pi times 12. That's 19,942 cubic inches. You guys don't have to worry about the units when you put your answers in. I'll put them in here, but You guys don't have to worry about that. The height is 5. The B value is length times width, so that's 2 times 5. So volume is, I think this comes out to 17, which is 50 divided by 3, 17. So that was 5.2 and 5.3. This sphere that we're about to do is 5.4. And the formula's volume is 4 pi r cubed divided by 3, which is 4 pi r cubed divided by 3. Do the 7 cubed first. So 343.
Hey, Donnie.
Yes, Paul.
What about number 4? I missed it. 17?
Right there. 17, yes. You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. So 7 cubed is 343 times pi times 4 is 4,310.27 divided by 3 is 1,400, and we'll round out to 37. Number 8 is very similar. I'm going to go to 8 next, except I give you the entire diameter. You need to know that the R value is 6. So volume is 4 pi 6 cubed divided by 3. So 6 cubed is 216 times pi times 4 divided by 3 is about 905. So those are both from 5.4. 6 and 7 go back to 5.2. So here's an opportunity for us to do one of these. On the last page, I kind of did each one of them step one at a time. So let's do this one from the beginning to end. We'll stick right with it. So first step, I'm going to identify the base. There's 2 of them. There's one on the bottom and there's one on the top. So that means I'm going to use volume equals base times height. Since that base that I outlined is a n-gon, my B value is going to be A times P divided by 2. My height is going to be 4. So here's my height. Little a is going to be 9.3. And my perimeter is going to be 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. So we have 6 sevens there. So A is 9.3. and P equals 7 times 6, which is 42. So volume equals I like to put the height in first because it's just pretty straightforward. And then we have A times P divided by 2. So that's going to be 9.3 times 42 divided by 2 times 4. All right, number 7. I know in the past 7's been it takes a little bit to figure out the orientation of this, so let me help you out. That is not where we're at. There we go. We have a triangular base that's replicated on top. The distance between those two triangles is 10. So that's our height. So it is a prism. So volume equals base times height. H is 10. And since B is a triangle, it's going to be little b times little h divided by 2. And if I look at this triangle, the base and height of the triangle, we have 4 by 2. So little h, little b. So this is going to be 4 times 2 divided by 2. $40. A lot of these problems might seem familiar. I put them in the exit tickets throughout the unit for the sole reason that we can now go over them in the review. So we're technically going over the exit tickets now. Some of them might have popped up in the homework in the past. Who knows, maybe some of them will pop up in the homework quiz that you take later today. We are going to skip this page. All right, so this comes from lesson 5.5, where we have two separate three-dimensional figures, and we're going to bring them together to make what we call a composite figure. So we're going to do the bottom first, and then we're going to add it to the top. So the volume of the bottom is going to be base times height. And the base is a rectangle. So it's going to be 10 times 3. And the height is 6. So that's 180. The top is a pyramid. So it's going to be base times height divided by 3. The base of that pyramid is the same rectangle that we had below. So it's again going to be 10 times 3. The height is 15. Divided by 3. So that's going to be 150. So this is going to be total is going to be 180 plus 150 is going to be 330. For number 5, the idea is that they have cut out a core of this cube. So they removed some of the volume. And you're supposed to get that idea with the dotted lines as if it's like a tunnel, almost like at a Chick-fil-A play center for the kids where you can climb through some type of tunnel. So let's find the volume of the cube first, which is going to be 5 times 5 times 5, because it's a cube. All sides are congruent. Which is 125. And then the volume of the cylinder is going to be the area of that circle, which is pi r squared, times the length of that cylinder, which is 5, because it goes from front to back. And that's going to be about 63. This time we're not going to add them though. Since we're removing the core, we're going to do 125 and remove the 63. That's going to be 62. So we almost removed half of the volume by taking out that cylinder. Not that you should skip that, but this is done the same way. Now we're taking a cone out of a cube. So same idea, but instead of finding the volume of a cylinder, you're going to find the volume of a cone. Let's do number 7. 7, we have the cylinder on the bottom. So volume equals base times height. The base is a circle, so it's going to be pi r, which is 6. So pi r squared times the height of 13. Which is about 1,470. The top is a hemisphere, so it's half of a sphere. A full sphere would have been 4 pi r cubed divided by 3, but then we're going to divide that in half. So that's 6 cubed times pi times 4 divided by 3, you get 905. Divided by 2, you get 452. And then since they're kind of glued together, we're going to add them. So total is 1470 plus 452 is 1922 cubic inches. All right, last page. If the scale factor of two similar solids is x over y, then the ratio of their volumes is x cubed over y cubed. That means if we had something like 2 over 3, then it would be 2 cubed over 3 cubed, which is 8 over 27. So we're going to use that idea to solve this problem. The ratio of the sides of two similar cubes is 3 to 4. So there's our scale factor. The smaller cube has a volume of 729. What is the volume of the larger cube? So instead of using 3 over 4, we're going to cube that because we're talking about volume. 729 is the smaller volume, so it's going to go up top with the 3 because 3 is smaller than 4. And x is we're looking for the larger. So if we clean this up a little bit, it's going to be 27 over 64 equals 729 over x. Our cross products give us 27x equals 729 times 64 is 46,656. Divide that by 27, which is going to be 1728. Three and four here. Find the scale factor from big to small, then find the ratio of the volumes. So scale factor is the ratio of corresponding sides. So I could do 200 with 160, or I can do 100 with 80. So I'm going to do 100 over 80, which is going to equal, if I simplify it down, 5 over 4. Which would have been the same thing if I did 200 over 160. So there's our scale factor. And so our ratio of volumes is going to equal 5 cubed over 4 cubed, which equals 125 over 64. Number 4 is done the same way. You have 3 options to choose to create your scale factor. And then number 5 is similar to the one above. We'll do this one together though, because it's a big problem. They give us a scale factor, and since we're dealing with volume, I'm immediately going to change that scale factor into a ratio of volumes. Nine cubed is 729. So when I set up my proportion, this is now my ratio of volumes. So 1536 has to go either on the top or bottom. Let's see. It says find the volume of the bigger figure. So that means we're looking for the bigger figure. That means this must be the smaller figure. Solving our cross products, we get 64x equals, this is going to be a big number, 729 times 1536. Let's divide that by 64. X is 17,496. All right, so that is the review. Notice after that, there's a practice test. Go ahead and try that practice test on your own as well. It's just another source of review for you guys. I'm not going to go over it. If you have questions, you can ask me them in maybe the PM office hours or shoot me an email. You'll see a lot of the similar types of questions. I'm just going to sneak through here and see if there's anything I want you guys to ignore. You can kind of skip 10 if you want. If you want to try it, just remember for 10, this is not H. H is inside here. So you have to use the Pythagorean theorem for that. It's good practice, but I don't think I'm going to throw something like that at you guys. And that's it. All right, make sure you guys get in touch with me if you have any questions. Make sure you take that exit ticket. I think I gave you guys 2 attempts. I'm sorry, homework quiz, not exit ticket. I think I gave you guys 2 attempts on that homework quiz today. So make sure you try and get your answers improved the second time around. And then PM office hours or email me with any questions. I'm going to end the live feed real quick. And